gun, so when I bust.
If you do not want to change, if you do not want to better yourself, if you do not want to break outside of this matrix, if you want to live in your comfortable delusion that they have built for you, do not watch these videos. Leave this channel. If you do not want any truth, don't want to understand, if you are not here to hear something that's outside of your own mind and accept others' minds and opinions and the way they think for themselves, you do not belong here. And finally, if you are not trying to be positive, if you are not trying to help create solutions while we discuss the problems and how they got here, you do not belong here. Negativity, hate, disrespect, name calling, those things will not be allowed here on this platform, and not in this empire. We are the ones, the true Americans, that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.
Still like the fuel to the game, watch it spark. My lines burn like blunts getting smoked in the dark. Hella cooking shit up if your ass wanna spar. Barbecue your beef up like the seats in my car. Cool yourself off refrigerator jar. Rappers, they not like this is not an art. You forgot about that part. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art.
You forgot about that part.
You forgot about that part.
You forgot about the part where we came back and did it again. Alright? Yeah, we in the building. Alright, so for all my peeps out there, you know what time it is. Shout out to all the people that worked today. Shout out to all the people that did overtime. Shout out to all the people that make this world go round, because if you working, this can't happen without you. Without further ado, it is time to kick back, relax, and hang out with the homie. Yes, again, light them if you got 'em. Yes, light them if you got 'em. Now is the time, guys. It is time to take a second, take a break. It was a long work day today. And now we're about to have a long talk. We're going to have this brainstorm because we're going to try to see if we can find a middle ground. All right, we're gonna see if we can find a middle ground between liberalism and conservatism, conservatives, conservatists and liberalists, the liberal and the conservative. We're gonna try to find a mediorative, right? We're making up words now because we have to make up a new word. Okay, we need a moderate. We need moderates. We need to bring moderation back, mitigation back. Instead of conservatives and liberalists, we need to have mitigationists. It's time to mitigate these problems, everybody. It is time to mitigate. We cannot continue the way we are. Okay, we cannot continue like the whole world will fall apart if America cannot get it together. Yes, if America cannot get it together, I repeat, the whole world will fall apart. Why is that, you say? Well, America is the cornerstone of freedom. America is the pillar of expectation. America is the underlying rule of freedom. America's the bottom line. Every society across time has tried to be like America. All right? Inclusive, religious. Yes. Inclusive and religious. Yes, even Islam tried to be like America. They include everybody. I mean, they include the infidels. They have them in the plan. Okay. They include women. They have them in the plan too. And they're trying to be holy. I get it. Okay. Religious. Sounds like America to me. It does, doesn't it? Sounds like America. Right? Everybody in America got their religion, including atheists. The atheonic religion, right? They believe that there is no God, and people that think there's a God are stupid. That's their religion. It's basic. They're basically claiming to be God or better than the idea of God, because the idea of God is not needed because people are so perfect in their own judgment that they don't need God's morality, because God's morality should be natural morality, should be, and they live under the belief that God's morality should be everybody's morality. Don't steal, don't kill, etc. They say that's just naturally wrong because it inflicts harm on others. But how do you know stealing from somebody, right, a billionaire, for example, stealing $1,000 from a billionaire, does that inflict harm? Not necessarily. Most likely not. They probably won't even notice $1,000 because they've got billion. They probably sneeze $1,000 by accident. So, like, come on. We can't even hold that to the same standard. So, that's where we are when it comes to this whole back and forth about conservative, liberalism, and all this other shit, right? See, these are basically two things that are trying to accomplish the same mission. Okay? That's the problem. They're both trying to accomplish the same thing in a different way. We will get into it because we do have a video that we would like to bring into the mix, because you know how it is. And we'll see if it will go today, because it was having an issue yesterday playing the video, but we figured it out. This is going to be a good one today. We're going to see if we can find a middle ground between conservative and liberal. We're going to see. All right. Now, this is going to be good. It's going to be wild. All right. I'm queuing up this video right now. In the meantime, light them up if you got them. All right. Grab your drink, kick back. Thank you for putting in work today when you went to work. All right. If you did overtime, the world doesn't go round without you. Shout out. Now it's time for us to kick it and really have a brainstorm, because we need to figure out how we can make our society work just like we do at work, being professional, making sure everything is civil. All right. We have to have a standard for our society. Okay. Without the standard for our society, we don't have a standard for ourselves. We can't say we have culture. All these things kind of line up. And they need each other. Just like we need each other. Okay? So I don't want anybody to think that they are not important to the system, because this doesn't work without us. All right, so the political side is real muddy because not everybody knows what they stand for, what their morals are, and there's a lot of he said, she said, and hearsay. So that's why things can be confusing, because a lot of people don't know what to believe. And if they're already one-sided about things, that can skew their ability to absorb information that can be helpful. All right? So that's one of the things we need to make sure we're not doing as individuals. We have to be sure we are giving the opportunity for information to reach us. All right. We're about to get to it.
Donald Trump is going to run for a third term, and there's a lot of concern about this. Why has he not explicitly said that he isn't?
Okay, first of all, I want to bring this up right now. It is against the law, okay? It is against the Constitution for any president to run for 3 terms. The only way for a president to get a third term is to be a vice president, and the president has to cease to be able to do the job. All right? That is the only way it is possible. And they cannot run for that office. They have to fall into that office after they do 2 terms. So that right there has been negated, and he doesn't have to say he's not going to run for a third term, because Obama said he would run for a third term if he could. So let's bring that into account.
Loves the attention.
It's funny. It is.
That's what he does.
It triggered you.
A president should not be attention seeking.
So do I think DEI is...
The president should not be attention seeking. Every president that has been before Donald Trump has had attention. They don't seek attention. They're the president of the United States. He's become the most popular, most powerful person in the world, in control of the most powerful military in the world. I don't think she understands what she's actually saying.
productive? I don't. I think, again, it's one of those things on paper that looks really, really good.
I see DEI as an equalized playing field.
Welcome to Counterpoint, the show where real people with opposing beliefs sit down to have honest conversation. I'm your host, Ryan Price. Today, we have conservatives and liberals. Let's find out where they agree and disagree on today's episode of Counterpoint.
I'm Jim, and I'm here because I believe in America. I love God, and I think that that makes me, in this day and age, even more.
All right, so this guy right here is the conservative, okay? Look, there's more. But before we continue, I actually want to bring something up right now. Okay. Very important. The first thing I want to bring up is what is a conservative and what is a liberal, right? First, we're going to check out what Webster says about it. Busting out my Websters. Conservative, right? We're going to see what that is in the dictionary. Webster's 2006 World Dictionary of Thesaurus, okay? So we're going to get the definition. All right. Here we go. Give me 1 second. Almost there. There's a lot of CMs or CMs. All right. So, how we find conservative is we have to go C-O-N, and then we gotta find S. All right. All right, here we go. Got you. C-O-N-V, C-O-S. Boom. Oh, page is folded. That's why somebody folded that page right there. All right, boom. Now, a dictionary is one of the best things you can have, because as the internet changes the meanings of things, which is what we're going to find out here right now, as the internet changes the meanings of things, we still have the original meanings. So the older dictionaries you can get, the better off it's going to be if you want to get the true meaning of the English word, because they have been changing the meanings of words for so long. All right, conservative, right here. Tending to conserve, tending to preserve established institutions, etc. Opposed to change, moderate, cautious, conservative person, right? These are the meanings for conservative in the Webster's this is Webster's New World Dictionary and Thesaurus, and this is from 1996. Now, we're going to use the thesaurus part. There are some other words: conserving, preserving, unchanging, unchangeable, stable, constant, steady, traditional, reactionary, conventional, moderate, unprogressive, firm, obstinate, inflexible, opposed to change, cautious, sober, Tory, taking no chances, timid, fearful, unimaginative, right wing, in a groove. Also see careful, moderate, radical, risky, changing. Now, these are the terms that are associated with conservative. Now, we'll go to liberal, okay? And we'll see what liberal says, and this is in the dictionary. But remember, this is 1996. All right, and you can think about the time and the way they were using words, and this is an update for English for 1996. All right, so that doesn't necessarily mean these are the original meanings. This just means since my generation, when I was growing up, this is how they redefine words. These are new definitions. Okay, now let's see here. Liberal, generous, ample, abundant, not literal or strict, tolerant, broad-minded, favoring reform or progress, one who favors reform or progress, right? Now we'll go to the individualist. These are different words right here. Individualist, insurgent, rebel, revolutionary, nonconformist, nonpartisan, independent, believer in civil rights, welfare, reform, etc. Socialist, eccentric, free thinker, left winger, also see radical. So, liberals are also radicals in the dictionary. So, you can't get away with that. Just try to see conservatives, radicals. Well, liberals are radicals too, according to the dictionary. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look up this meaning right here in the Google. All right. Dictionary, conservative. All right. This is what Google says right here. Just so everybody can get the meaning here. We need to make sure we understand what we're talking about. So this is conservative in the Google, all right, the Google. All right, we got adverse to change, or non votation. In non-votation and holding traditional values. I keep thinking that says a different word, but it's literally on my tongue and my brain isn't. Yeah, that is innovation. Yeah, I was looking at that word. I was like, yeah, innovation, yeah. Conservatives are averse to change or innovation. Yeah, I knew that. Okay, cool. I gotta stop saying against myself, because like maybe it's dyslexia. So I keep looking at words and thinking it says something else. And then I sound it out and it says the word I know it says, but in my mind, I still think it says something else. But I'm working on that. I think a lot of people have that problem as well. They saw a word and thought it said something else. My bad. In political context, favoring free enterprise, private ownership, socially traditional ideas. All right. A person who is averse to change and holds traditional values. A person favoring free enterprise, private ownership, and socially traditional ideas. So that's conservative right there, right? Let's go ahead and do liberal here. Dictionary, liberal, willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas. Now that has nothing to do with the 1996 version. You see how they like to try to dazzle it up right here, relating to or denoting a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Sure. Pretty much the same thing. Alright. A supporter of policies that are socially progressive and promote social welfare. Supporter of political ideas, social political and philosophy that promotes individual rights and civil liberties, democracy, free enterprise. Alright, so they both want free enterprise, okay? But this one right here, they dazzled that up right there. They really did. This one right here, they dazzled it up right there. Willing to respect. That's funny. That's funny. Alright, anyways. We'll get back to the OG shit, right? Because that was funny. Okay, here we go.
More conservative than ever.
My name is Jace, and I'm the president of Turning Point USA at the University of Nebraska, Omaha.
Hi, my name is Nina. I am probably absolutely a conservative, but I'm here to hear other people's views and just to really, it takes zero effort to be a good human. So I just am open to listen.
My name is Vince. You can call me conservative, a monarchist. I'm here to discuss different views and currently, I guess if you will, see the state of the republic.
My name is Steph. I identify.
That guy's funny. I hope he keeps that.
As far left, progressive, liberal. I'm here because I think it's really good to have conversation and connect with people who have alternative viewpoints, just to grow the muscles a little bit. Have conversations that leave me a little uncomfortable is where I grow.
My name is Ethan. I'm here because I grew up conservative and religious, and now I'm an atheist and a liberal.
My name is Courtney. I'm a liberal. My qualifications to be on this episode are I have a bachelor's degree in political science, and I argue with my conservative dad all the time.
Trump's presidency is a threat to democracy. We'll start by having everyone that agrees come up now.
We got some pretty good credentials up here, don't we?
Trump's
All right. Trump's presidency is a threat to democracy. Absolutely not. Because democracy is what got him up there by vote. So there's that. Now we have to look up what democracy is. Yes, we do. Don't you just love learning? All right, because a lot of people, they don't know what democracy is. And now we're doing a full breakdown because people want to talk about this shit, but they don't know about this shit. All right. First, we gotta spell it. All right. Okay, that page is folded. Shouldn't be hard to find. Here we go. Should be on this page. There we go. All right, democracy. It says government by the people. Directly or through representatives. Yeah, we have that. I don't think him being a threat to that, he's not a threat to that. That's how we got him in there. A country, etc. With government, with such government, right? Equal rights, opportunity, and treatment, right? So I think we have that already. And I don't think he's a threat to that because what's happening is all these things are being mitigated because we have to have mitigation. Our original government wanted mitigation. They just didn't want any one person as a king, right, to dictate everything. And Donald Trump's not dictating everything. He actually has a bunch of people with him that are agreeing with him 90-something% of the time. Just like all the other stuff that happened previously. All right. So, is his presidency a threat to democracy? No, because in 2 more years, this is all over. Trust me, I think that's a little more scary than what we have now, because at least we know what we're dealing with and what's coming. All right. Now, we'll go ahead and do this just because we want to make sure we do it for all of them, or it's not fair. So we'll go ahead and pull this one up real quick. And we'll share the democracy. All right, this is democracy. Hold on, it's not giving us our thing like we had the other where to go. Uh-oh, they don't want us to know. Fine, Wikipedia is trying to tell us what democracy is. I don't want that. Guess we're gonna have to do this. Alright. Okay, this is what they're trying to say. Democracy is a system of government where supreme power is vested in the people and exercised either directly or indirectly through fair, competitive elections. And I don't think Donald Trump is a threat to that at all. Even with this SAVE Act, most people and Democrats voted on that to pass that. Because nobody wants illegal immigrants changing their vote of who rightfully belongs in that office. So who the people vote for, the citizens, they should definitely have that say. But we'll go ahead and finish this right here. We had that this rooted principle, or it is rooted in the principles of popular sovereignty, political equality, and the rule of law, and the protection of individual human rights and civil liberties. Now, he's not a threat to that at all. I think he's participating in it just fine. Now, we'll go ahead and we'll kick this video back. Like I said, anybody that has something different to say, go ahead and say what you gotta say. Because there's no threat to that. That's definitely still happening right now.
This presidency is a threat to democracy. We'll start by having everyone that agrees come up now.
Alright, so we'll let this little commercial go through. So not too many people agreed, so that's a good sign so far. And we will continue with this.
I feel that there's a threat to our democracy, and I have to go with who our current president is. Just based on what's going on in our world, I feel like there's a stacked Supreme Court, so it doesn't feel like there's like a fairness or a neutrality about it. I feel like putting the guard out on the streets and using police presence for monitor what's going on out on the streets doesn't feel like the America that I want to live in. I don't want to see people in camouflage and flak vests and masks and big guns out in the city streets. It just doesn't feel like that free America. Creating issues with the press, deciding who can be within the press pool and who can't be in the press pool, and having to sign petitions to be in the Pentagon press pool has never existed before. And it feels like if you don't toe the line, we're going to kick you out. But again, it doesn't create that fair and balanced news. So, which to me, again, feels like a threat to democracy. And then for
Okay, so the fair and balanced news, the news is not fair and it's not balanced. And ever since Donald Trump even said he was going to run for office, the news turned into a clown show, hating on him, just saying all these horrible things, even though plenty of people have had horrible things going on in their past. So just using the press is like horrible. That's horrible.
First Amendment rights also feel like they're at stake. I see people in college universities getting doxxed because of stating certain things out there. Jimmy Kimmel was a good example. Colbert was a good example.
Really? You're gonna say those two names? Like, oh my gosh. Come on, really?
I even, not a fan of Charlie Kirk, and what happened to him was awful, but I believe he should exercise his First Amendment rights. He did. He should be, have been able to go on doing that. So anyway, that's where I stand with it all.
Beside that, I'm going to talk.
The thing that is crushing, right, is how she's saying that it's okay for them to make all these dead jokes and all these jokes about Charlie Kirk and like his whole situation. They made all these mean jokes about him, and I don't think that's okay, especially how that situation happened. All he was doing was having conversations like we do here on this channel, and then you guys want to hurt him. That's not cool.
Talk about is more of the social standpoint of presidency. I feel like Donald,
and especially, I gotta say this because it's on my mind about this, and especially because she said, Jimmy Kimmel and the other guy, they're exercising their freedom of speech. Well, so was Charlie Kirk. He got hurt for that. That's wild. And then for people to run around and talk about it as if it's a game or it's funny or it's justified, it's not. Because if that's the case, the same thing happens to them, then nobody should be upset, right? That's kind of, see how the The hypocrisy is just, it's unfounded.
Trump is going to not only change the way presidency is handled, but how the president themselves will handle being president. Just very immature, especially when all of the like No Kings protests were happening, and his use of AI and just the way he monitors everything is not what a president should be doing. He has made multiple statements before, calling us the enemy, saying that we hate our country, which there's a complete difference between loving your country and hating your government. Those are two completely different things. So I feel like he is just going to.
All right, see, this guy right now just sounds like he's whining the same rhetoric that has been said by the media, and he's not really having his own formulated opinion. Because when it comes to being presidential, there's not a specific way to do it. Okay, the first president literally had a rifle and he was out there on the front lines commanding soldiers. Okay, George Washington, yeah, was a freaking soldier. All right, each president is different. There's no specific way to be a president. All right, personality is personality. Look at JFK. He wasn't the typical president. And look what happened to him. They tried to do Trump like that many times. You feel me? Exactly. So, like, everything they're saying is just, it's not even a point you can make, and that's the sad part. Because if you want to say Trump is a threat to democracy, there's so many other reasons you can use.
To, yeah, just change the way it works and the way the president works, especially with his statement of running again in 2028. I even have like 3 neighbors on my street alone that have Trump.
Now, President Trump already knows he can't run for a 3rd term, and he's never even said out of his mouth he's gonna run for a 3rd term. Now, rumors get started, okay, because people have this conspiracy theory mindset. Like, the earth is round. What a conspiracy theory, right? The earth is flat. What a conspiracy theory, right? All these things are theories because the only thing that's true is what you can verify. And nobody can verify that Trump wants to run for a 3rd term. And Obama has even admitted, like I said before, he wants to run for a 3rd term. If he could. So you're jumping on Trump's head, but you're not jumping on Obama's head. The hypocrisy is dumbfounding at this point. You know?
Trump 2028 stickers, which is just bizarre and honestly kind of whack, but he's a threat because he's not holding his moral high ground that he says he has.
Kind of building off of that, because I do agree with a lot of what you said. I think it is the president's job to uphold, honor, and follow the Constitution. There are several things explicitly written in the Constitution that Donald Trump has spoke out against and also has publicly said that he's not going to follow them. For example, it's written in the Constitution that a president can only serve 2 terms. Trump is saying, nope, doesn't matter. I'm going to run for a 3rd term.
He's never said those words. And here's the thing. The only way, I explained this earlier, the only way for him to even get a 3rd term is for him to become a vice president. And then something has to happen to that president where they're incapacitated. And then that would be, he would finish the rest of that term. That's the only way to do it, okay? And I don't think that's gonna happen. So there is no such thing as a 3rd term. Now, if he goes in as a vice president, he can have semi as much influence, and that could be different because you can be vice president as many times as you want, at least according to the Constitution. So there's a thing.
It's a threat to our democracy. He's violated the Constitution multiple times since he's been in office, and it's only been 9 months, particularly with, birthright citizenship. That's also written in the Constitution. So he's constantly going against.
Now, birthright citizenship is not in the Constitution. I am sorry to say that. That is not in the Constitution. So, shorty, you're going to have to fix that one later. All right? It's just not a thing. It's really not. It's not. So, sorry.
Our founding principles and our law of the land, our constitution. It's written for a reason. And for a president, someone of such high power and authority, to actively speak out against it is dangerous.
Okay, I think that's a good time to bring in everyone that disagreed.
Imagine being able to build an app with your...
Wow, they love hitting us with these commercials, don't they? Crazy word.
What do you guys have to say in response to some of the things that have been said?
Well, I mean, there's a lot. Let's address the National Guard and troops and different policing in major cities. Chicago, Illinois, last year had a higher murder rate than Baghdad, Iraq, higher murder rate than Bogota, Colombia, the highest murder rate of any city on the planet Earth. What's the alternative if we're not going to bring heavily armed members of law enforcement, or even going as...
All right, we got a fact check over here. Chicago's raw number A617 is high, but when adjusted for population, dozens of cities exceeded. Baghdad's data are incomplete and often excluded war casualties or kidnappings not organized as homicide. Let me see. From 2018 to 2024, Chicago recorded about 4,580 homicide, or an average of 654 per year. By comparison, 4,432 U.S. service members were killed in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and 2,554 in Operation Enduring Freedom. Some claim this shows Chicago is more dangerous than a war zone. There's some sources down there. Centers, Disease Control, CDC. Got some sources, and you know, the last part right there, y'all could go ahead and read that.
As far as the military, to try to make American cities safer. I don't know the answer. I pose the question because I know that that will work and has worked and is working in Washington, D.C. I applaud a president who's willing to do something to say lawlessness is not going to work in the country. I applaud that. I don't see that as a threat to democracy. I see it as a way to take our country back from lawlessness. I'll just address one more and then I'll cede time. I've not heard one instance of President Trump standing in front of a microphone and saying, I am absolutely going to run for president again. I'm going to have another term. Has it been tongue in cheek and his pundits and people on Fox News and things? Has that been thrown around, kind of nudge, nudge, wink, wink? Yes, it has. Donald Trump is not going to run for another term. I've not seen one serious thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Not for real. Now, it's funny, ha 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 funny, and the president's a troll, and he's trolling y'all, and y'all don't get it. He's actually doing the right thing, and like, people are sitting here making fun of him. What would you do if you were famous and rich, and then all of a sudden you became the president, and people were just hating on you? And like, nowadays, with the kind of like, look at media, look at the attitude, look at, you know what I'm saying? You probably troll their asses too. Like, you know what I'm saying? But then you be serious in the serious situations. But then when it's just some random walk by, it's just like, I gotcha. Like, you know what I'm saying? But see, it's too funny. It's funny, so I fucks with it.
Of him saying that. If you can cite it, I know you believe that he has as strongly as I believe he hasn't. I can't think of one time that I've seen him stand in front of a microphone and say, I will absolutely be running for president again in 2028. I've not seen that.
I'm just going to piggyback off him about the running in 2028 thing, because I think that that's one of the fundamental pieces of democracy is voting and being able to vote for who you want to vote for. I don't see anything that Trump has done to change that system, to make it so that we can't vote for our leaders and so that the people can't choose. Trump 2028 is a joke, and everyone knows it's a joke. It's rage bait for people who are dumb enough to believe that he would run for a third term. He has made no...
You say it's rage bait, but there's people like you that genuinely believe that, though. I have countless people on my street alone that have multiple Trump 2028 signs. They have stickers. They have all the MAGA.
Did it trigger you?
Or
Mission accomplished.
Or
that's all they're doing.
How about we look at how he left office his last term?
Peacefully.
No.
Yeah. He left peacefully.
I
think, and see, this is where media doesn't do a city favors, because media tells you one thing and then there's media that tells us another. So, I mean, I think that can be disputed either way. You say yes, we say somebody probably should check with Nancy Pelosi and find out how come she said no Capitol Police.
Sure.
So you see where that's at?
I understand, but then this also brings...
Wait. You understand, but then I have another excuse. That's all I just heard right now. I'm just prepping y'all for the banter.
Another question, why, if it has gained so much media attention that Donald Trump is going to run for a third term, and there's a lot of concern...
Why would the media, who's in the pocket of the same people that our government is in the pocket, which is why we need to make it where, hey, if you're in the government or if you're going to run for office, you should either already have had a certain amount of wealth or you shouldn't have a certain amount of wealth, okay, before you go in, so that way it's like a job, right? And like, you should be focused on that job with no other jobs, right? I think if everybody in office, and yeah, they need to take pay cuts across the board, maybe $100,000 a year. It's a pretty decent job, right? And what's going to happen is all the money that they're getting is going to go into the pool. Now there's more money from all the tax money that we're paying. Now we have more money for schools and all the other stuff, right? So it'll all trickle down. And all the school boards and the superintendents, we need to cut their paychecks to a modest $100,000 a year. See what I'm saying? No bonuses, things like that. So that way all that money can go back to the American people, right? But no, we're not actually giving a fuck, are we? Huh? Are we really giving a fuck? Are we?
About this, why has he not explicitly said that he isn't?
He loves the attention.
It's funny.
It is.
That's what he does.
It triggered you.
A president should not be attention seeking.
But the thing is,
that's a threat to democracy.
It triggered you. Actually, there's going to be probably a Vance Rubio ticket in 2028, by the way. That's what's going to happen. I mean, Trump he knows that he cannot run for a third term and be reelected.
I don't think he does.
Now, do I think that there should be laws regarding term limits? Yes. But if the president is limited to 2,
if we're talking about term limits, if the president's limited to 2 terms, why aren't these senators and these House seats and all these governors and all these other people not limited to 2 terms? Because that's why we have the same crap going on over and over and over again. Excuse my language.
Terms, everybody in Congress should be limited to the same.
I agree.
But see, that's the thing. And not to interrupt you or take away your time, but I really only have just 2 questions. You had said, like, your neighbors, it's whack that they have this 2028. Why? Because you don't agree with it?
Not only do I not agree with it, but why would someone want to logically...
Hold on, what about free speech, though? She was just talking about free speech. What about free speech, though? Hold up, what about free speech, though? Shit, what about free speech, though? How come we can't just say what we want? Right? Oh, because you don't like it? Okay, well then, that's what the liberals want. They want to stop free speech but be able to say what they want to say. Rules for what? Rules for thee and not for me? Wow, look at the hypocrisy. I'm pointing it out because y'all need to see this shit. Don't let them fool you. This is brainwashed at its finest.
before that.
But why is it whack?
It's unconstitutional.
But
Because it's not logical.
it triggered him, and that's why it's there. So that's my thing. You had said it's whack. What makes it whack? You don't agree with it. That.
Ooh, the logic. The logic is seeping through. What? The old white lady is eating. Not trying to be racist, but yo, if we point this out, do we point this out? How many more years does she got? That's wisdom.
Makes it whack. It would
And
make
it's
it whack
not
for me too.
logical.
Well, logical or not, it's hilarious. I mean, you know, somebody's
I
making
could say the same thing about how liberals would treat the Charlie Kirk shooting.
Ooh, get him. She's eating. She's eating. Hold on. Hold on. She cooking. She cooking, y'all.
Making an incredible
We're
amount of
rage
money.
baiting you, but you guys got mad about that.
Somebody's making an incredible amount of money off of Trump 2028 signs. And honestly, I need to find where to find one. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just think it's.
She said, wait. I need to find one of those. I want one. This is too funny. Oh, man. This lady, I like her. She's awesome. She's awesome. Let me do one of these real quick before we get deeper, because you know how it is out here in these streets.
It's hilarious because we know it's a trigger. And
Ooh, we know it's a trigger.
And that's our point. So I appreciate your opinion. I really do. But that's just kind of where we're
That's
at.
one thing I would kind of like to piggyback off of what you just said. It's a trigger, so it's funny.
I think it's funny.
No,
I'm not trying to trigger you.
No, I know that.
I
But
think
what
it's
I'm
hilarious.
saying is I'm going to use that now for how you guys brought up Charlie Kirk. There were
Okay,
many
hold up.
liberals
I'm gonna
who
stop
would
you
make
there.
Yo, such a low blow. Why does everybody keep trying to talk shit about Charlie? He not even here no more. He ain't even here no more. Keep that man name out your mouth. That's like continuously talking bad about Michael Jackson. He ain't here no more. Leave that man alone. Damn.
fun of that and would point that out. And once we said that that was rage bait, you guys took that dead serious.
There's a between somebody.
There's a very strong difference between
but
somebody getting
you guys
murdered over
also-
political views.
Okay, one thing I'll do is you haven't got to speak yet, so if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, okay, there is multiple things. There is a very, very huge difference between basically mocking or joking about somebody's murder, you know, for political reasons. And also, by the way, about the press corps, the press corps has been there since 1941, and presidents have regularly removed press, especially hostile press, ones that, or press that acts like a nuisance, so they basically just bug the president.
All right, you guys go ahead and check those words out for a second there. You can pause that. I know that's super tiny now. All right, so I want to point out that they always removed out the press. I didn't want to say nothing about it. I wanted to say if somebody was going to bring it up and remember it. because like the press, man, they don't do nobody no favors most of the time. They're just looking for something so they can have a story with a half-ass source. And then, oh, well, the source was anonymous. That's been their most recent. From anonymous sources, this is one of their freaking things. That's how they got all this shit going in the first place. With their anonymous sources. Alright. Now, the thing is, the fact that they have that, what is it? The witness protection or the privacy protection things where they can blur out somebody's face and, you know, pretty much have them like memorize a script or read a script, and then, you know, how could you really tell, right? How could you tell if that was really them and if that really happened to them? So that's one of the ways where, you know, anybody could say anything at this point. But that was long before they started using all this AI manipulation. And now that all these rando people are putting out these AI skits, they're blaming it on Trump, saying that it was him because he's reposting them. And honestly, I don't think it's him or his team. I think it's just regular folks doing that shit, making fun of these people and hoping that it catches on. And you know how it is, like, the president is American and he's had access to technology for a lot longer than us. He's been in the circles, hanging out with Snoop and everybody. He's been all over the place. Remember that. Our president is an OG. Our president is a Mac Daddy. Trust me. A lot of females were trying to chase that man down. And don't act like Trump was just this old, hideous man his whole life. That wasn't it. Dude was different. Dude was different back in that day. Alright? So just remember that our grandparents, our moms, our aunties, they all had, you know, finesse and swag and flavor, and you know what I mean? They were fabulous and all these different things. And with that shit came a persona. And if our parents are capable of that persona, right? And we're capable of that persona, right? Then that means Trump is capable of that persona. Remember, he's still a person. And I think a lot of people are mistaking him for somebody else because the media has been painting him some kind of way, but y'all don't remember Trump. And if y'all do remember Trump, even Nelly was, you know, dropping Trump in his songs. Believe me. All right. Y'all remember Mac Miller? Yeah, you feel me? There's a party on Fifth Ave. Hit me for trying to go. Y'all know about that. You know what I'm saying? All right, we finna play this.
Whenever he's trying to do something or somebody's asking a question. This has been a regular power that the president's had since basically for 80 years, so for nearly a century now. This is nothing new. The contract is actually literally the exact same. It's actually looser than the Obama's contract, and even just about regular. It's basically been copied and pasted for almost 80 years. Like, no joke. It's almost exactly the same. I've noticed that the whole thing about the Trump 2028, it does anger people. I understand. It's like, well, what the hell? That's against the founding principles, the rules of the nation. I get it. It's funny. It is. But the issue is like Obama, right? There's genuinely were people who really wanted Obama to run on a third term. I remember I was very young, but I do remember, and they were very, very serious about it.
And those people would be wrong too. Like, I'm
100%. Yeah, and we're not saying it's right. What we're saying is that
it happens
a Trump
everywhere.
2028 sign to us is kind of humorous because we know, number one, the irony of it, it's not possible. Number two, it is a trigger. Somebody's making a lot of money off of these signs. And I don't think that comparing Charlie laughing at the death of somebody to a yard sign is even apples to apples.
Oh.
So my next question, though, I really wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the right to bear arms?
I think it's a constitutional principle. I think everyone has the right.
So assault rifles are okay with you?
I disagree with that.
Okay, how come?
It's a
This isn't the gun control episode.
No,
but
it's not. But I'm asking, my question isn't about gun control. It's about the Constitution. We have the right to bear arms.
There was a case in the 1800s that allowed citizens to own essentially a battleship. So
no, but
privateers. It's pretty funny.
I'm talking about the right to bear arms. It's in the Constitution. We have the right to bear arms. You have the right to bear arms unless.
No one's saying unless.
But assault rifles should not be allowed.
Who said that?
But that's the thing. I mean, and I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying that seems to be
the Supreme Court also has the right to put limits on these things too.
They do. But I specifically to your conversation about the Constitution and the president upholding it. He is when it comes to
what he wants.
Well, but you can't pick and choose.
Exactly.
Like he doesn't want to uphold this, but the right to bear arms, we should limit that. Like it's the Constitution.
You have a sit down across the table with the leaders that be in Chicago, the mayor, the governor, what have you, and they say, yes, we welcome that, then that's one thing. But if they're saying that's not what we're interested in doing, let's talk, let's brainstorm ideas. And if some of those ideas are the National Guard and it's welcome, that's different. But when it's strong armed, it just feels like a power over situation. And anytime there's power over, it just feels like a threat to democracy.
Some stances, like I can see why it's needed, but at the same time, going.
All right, so gun control, right? We gotta talk about guns. Oh, yes, here we go. Now, I love me a good gun, right? If you're a true American, you probably do appreciate guns, even when the police have them to come save your ass. All right, come on, right? But the thing is, if you don't have a gun because you have a horrible experience with guns, that's just like, choosing to be with the opposite of what you would like if you hadn't had a bad experience with that. So it's like, okay, the things that you do like, you have a bad experience with it, now, oh, it's ruined. Like, no, it's like, get over it because you like that, so stay with it. You know what I mean? A lot of people make choices because somebody else likes something that they like, so now they can't like it more. Or somebody they don't like, right? Like some shit they do like, now they can't like the shit they like because the person they don't like likes it. That's corny to me. That's probably the corniest shit ever. Like for real. Somebody gotta be theyself in this point.
Piggybacking off of her, why do we need a tank in Chicago?
Bruh, have you been to Chicago? I have not, but I've heard stories. I could understand why you need a tank in Chicago. Just to go to the grocery store without getting took, bruh. What do you mean? Alright, I'm done.
Like, what is that doing? I understand if they're just like walking around and they have just their rifles or just whatever's on their person for the lawless Chicago, then whatever, okay. But it gets to a point where when is too much too much?
It's an overstep.
This really annoys me because security is everyone's number one issue. Every normal person does not want to get mugged while going to work. I promise you that. Nobody wants to hear that somebody got shot, stabbed.
And that's why you need a tank in Chicago. Just putting that out there.
Horrific things have been done to them, and they'll throw away just about anything to get it. So if you want your democracy now and to keep it later, we do this policy. And whether local officials care, I really don't care whether local officials do or don't, because the issue is, especially with places like Chicago,
this guy keeps it real though.
They're horrifically corrupt. There was there was a person in the early 2000s that got arrested because they basically were being bribed by gangs. So Chicago is definitely one of those places where it's like local, I understand, but federal, and especially in cases of this matter where even state law is not even being enforced.
Totally agree that
this is an issue.
The federal government has to make a broad umbrella law.
Right, exactly.
Typically, Republicans
this is a constitution.
All right, so we'll let him finish, then we'll go to you, and then we'll wrap.
100%, yeah. In the Constitution, it does state that there is issues where the federal government does need to get involved, and enforcing the law is one of them, especially if not even state law is technically getting enforced. And if you get, like I said, if you want to keep your democracy, it's better to have the guards on the street now than later everyone's being like, well, screw the democracy, because if the democracy means we get robbed or my kid gets murdered or some bad thing happens, then I don't want the democracy then. You don't want to associate the lack of security with democracy, or you're never going to get the democracy ever again. Just saying.
Okay, I'll go to you and then we'll wrap this one.
Well, I just find it fascinating that at times all of a sudden big government is something that you agree upon, when other times you want it all to be handled at a small local level. So
just depends on the issue. If the laws are not even being enforced, then that's kind of a point where it's like, especially because Chicago has complained
the laws
about
not being enforced there.
The murder rate is higher than Baghdad. Then I would say, yeah.
I'd be interested in seeing
I want
where
to
you guys got that from
too, because in Washington D.C. the statistics were they were going down as far as
right, but it was an all-time high. Like compared to all the murders from the previous century, it's basically comparable to the murders of all of the previous century. Mind you, we're also talking about the mob days of a century ago in the 20s. And mind you, Chicago, especially like Chicago and not Washington D.C., but Chicago especially, it was a bigger city back then, and yet on a comparable level, the crime rate is higher.
But I understand your point
with where we are.
He's giving true facts. He's putting it like it's supposed to be put. It's raw. It's real. I mean, you could try to come up with excuses and reasons, but the main question is Donald Trump a threat to democracy? The answer is no. We've been having issues for so long. Okay? If Donald Trump goes and handles that stuff in Chicago, then you know everything's gonna go down. But remember, when he was trying to clean up stuff like he did in Washington D.C., everybody started getting in his way trying to stop him. So instead of getting in his way, why not help him? That's where we're at with it.
Technology, more access to guns. Yeah, it makes sense.
Did you know 98% of our viewers are not subscribed to our channel? If you want to see more content from us, subscribing is free and an easy way to show your support so we can make more content like this. Now back to the episode. DEI creates a better workforce. I'll start by having everyone that agrees come up now.
Now, this is gonna be a good little segment right here. We got a commercial, so I'm waiting for that commercial to go by. But we got a good segment coming up. The question. Oh man, this was a good question. All right, so this question is beautiful. Purely. Hold on. All right, I had to pull that up real quick. All right, here we go. My bad, guys. My bad. So this is the question right here. All right. The question is DEI. Well, it's not really a question. It's a statement. DEI creates a better workforce. Now, personally, I don't think so. I think that a person's job defines who they are. Off of pure observation, a plumber is a plumber. A grocery store worker is a grocery store worker. A waitress is a waitress. A bartender is a bartender, and so on and so forth. Okay? So a person is easily defined by what they do, which is why a lot of men, when you ask them what they do, they will hesitate to tell you what they do. Or they'll tell you what they do in the most technical terms because it makes it sound like it's better than it is. Okay? Like a janitor, you could say a maintenance specialist. You know what I mean? Sounds a lot better. So that's one of the things that we have in our back pockets. We do have words. But the best part is that we can create whatever it is we want to create as far as opportunity. But DEI does not create better workforces, because in the grand scheme of things, it actually limits the potential of production you could have gotten if you hired somebody more qualified and hungry for that position, versus putting somebody actually that doesn't belong there and is not hungry for it, giving them the opportunity to just show up. So I think that hurts you actually in the long run.
By having everyone that agrees come up now. Okay, so I think the thing I want to specifically hit on it is what about DEI makes the workforce better? And I'll start with you.
I just believe diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is what DEI stands for, helps give a more rounded, well-rounded workplace situation. So people who look different, who sound different, who have different viewpoints, I think can contribute to the greater good. So if you have...
All right, if somebody looks different, sounds different, or whatever, even has a different culture, if they're qualified for that job, they should still have that job. Okay, there's people that are different and sound different and look different that qualify for that job, but just giving somebody that job because they are different, that doesn't make any sense. That's all that.
An echo chamber and you're trying to spitball ideas, they might all look alike. But if you have somebody who has a different perspective and they can throw something out, it can challenge your thinking a little bit. It's even just like this tonight. I work at home alone, so this is my way to kind of get some sort of diversity in perspective, because it challenges my thinking. And I think anytime you're challenged is where you grow.
I would have to agree with that pretty much to a T, especially the diversity and perspective part. I feel like one key factor that a whole bunch of people don't actually think about when it comes to DEI, they think people are getting hired off of DEI just for the sole fact because they are different. That's not what it's there for. It's there to stop discrimination against those people. It's not to have them be hired because they are different. So that's, I want to say, probably the biggest key point is that a whole bunch of people think someone is a DEI hire simply because they are different. However, I think when it comes to the perspective part, I also think that is a huge reason why we need DEI, because I can say from example of myself, I work with a lot of older people, and I would say they are quite religious, and some of them are even quite political. And so being able to functionally talk to them and functionally work with them is something that is needed.
We'll let this commercial pass real quick and then we'll bring it back up, just give it a few seconds here. But I mean, I'm not trying to trash dude or anything like that, so we'll just continue to let him speak his piece, because that's what's going to be beneficial for the movement of the episode. All right. Okay. He was good. Here we go. We're back to it.
Perspectives, various...
We go back a tiny bit.
So that's, I want to say, probably the biggest key point is that a whole bunch of people think someone is a DEI hire simply because they are different. However, I think when it comes to the perspective part, I also think that is a huge reason why we need DEI, because I can say from example of myself, I work with a lot of older people, and I would say they are quite religious, and some of them are even quite political. And so being able to functionally talk to them and functionally work with them is something that is needed.
I really agree with what Steph said about the various perspectives, various skill, all just coming together regardless, and putting your brains together to accomplish a common goal or a common task. But I think where a lot of people maybe have issue with this, or a common misconception of DEI, is that it's only race related, and that's not necessarily true. So DEI includes obviously race, gender, but also veteran status, right? We want our veterans in the workforce. Sometimes they have, really good skills and experience that a non-veteran wouldn't. So just by expanding that
Disability also.
disability, sexuality, religion, like it's all included in that. I don't want to say welcoming these, people with different characteristics together, then that's what's going to make it great. But I think it's something that needs to be strongly considered outside of like the stereotypical DEI hire type of stuff, because I think we all have skill and it shouldn't be limited to a certain characteristic. I think workplaces, everybody has to work. So let's just make all places welcoming for all kinds of people.
Okay, I think that's a good time to bring up everyone that disagreed. I guess what I want to really know and pinpoint is what specifically, why doesn't DEI make a workplace better?
3 reasons. First off, while it's supposed to look for different groups, to get different voices, unfortunately, in practice, that's not how it actually ends up handling it, because how law is written and how it's interpreted are 2 different things. And corporations will always choose the laziest option, which is just hire this dude because his skin color is different 9 out of 10 times, because that's just easier to do.
Do you have statistics? Like, can you give me a source that says that's a fact?
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
That's
the
not
skill.
a fact to say it.
I mean,
It's pretty obvious.
Look, the skill drop, and not just the fact that there's been insiders who have actually stated this has happened, even high up people from different corporations. This has actually happened over a process of nearly a decade of different peoples, basically from different organizations. One was a CEO who didn't know he was being recorded, basically explaining
From which
the recruit. I think it was a CEO. I forgot what company. It was well, the other 2 points is that it goes against the majority group, second, which I still think is important. How it works in practice and how it's supposed to work are 2 different things. And third off, we look all the same in here. I'm pretty sure most of us are religious. I mean, most of us here are Christians.
I'm not.
All 3 of you Christians?
That's not most of us.
You're not a Christian? Not Christian? Not a Christian? Okay.
No, I'm an ex-Catholic, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. I'm religious, I believe in a God. You believe in a God? You believe in a God? Okay, so more than half of us believe in a God here. The same peoples, but we're sharing different ideas. So this didn't require to bring in some different peoples of different groups for this conversation to be productive. So our argument starts to fall apart very rapidly just based on the room currently. All I have to say is companies are lazy, so they're just going to hire people because of what they look like or because of their gender, because it's easier. And second, that affects my group, so I that would obviously annoy me, and that also
mean what?
A white cisgender male?
Well, yeah, obviously it affects my group, and that delegitimizes the society and makes them not want to.
The society was made for you.
If they feel like it's against them, that's a difference. If it's not made for them, that's fine. But if it feels like it's actively against them, that's a completely different problem. And when you start to get to there, the society rapidly becomes delegitimized.
Do you think it's against you, though?
Yes. It's DEI practices I believe, are inherently against me and my people. So that's just me, though. Go ahead.
We'll go on to the next.
He kept it 100. He said it's against me and my people. I hope he means Americans.
And this one I struggle with a little bit. I absolutely, to a certain extent, believe that DEI is very important, but I think that sometimes we cross the lines between what is DEI and what is protected veterans and what is, you can't, and I forget the name of the act, but you can't discriminate, against women, religion, whatever. I think that those lines get crossed really easy, and they're separate things. So yes, I believe DEI is important in the workplace. However, I don't believe that There should be grants given to companies because you hire so many women. I don't believe that you should pass over somebody that is absolutely qualified for a job for somebody that does fall in the diversity, equity, and inclusion category. I believe in that. I think having a diverse workplace is great. I work with many different people. I do work from home, but I think that we are equal, all of us, and we include everybody. It is important that a company do that, but I think to do it based off of, well, I identify as this, or I am this, or I am this, excluding the disabilities and the religion, women, whatever, it is important. It just shouldn't be the basis of determination of whether or not somebody's qualified for a job.
The idea of DEI is a good one, to have diverse opinions and backgrounds. But the problem arises when a company sets a quota to hire, let's say you have 90% employees are white and you want to make that 70%. So when you start looking for applicants that are black, you are going to pass over applicants that are white, looking for, if you have 20 white people apply and 5 black people, and you're looking to hire more black people than white, you are going to throw out that entire group of white people who could be just as qualified as the black people. But because of their skin.
Can I ask real quick where you're getting this quota thing? Because I'm unaware of companies that have quotas. Can you give me a company? Because I actually want to go home.
Airliner companies
and
have quotas, correct?
it.
Yes.
There are.
I do have to say that he could have went men and women. He could have went legal citizens versus illegal citizens, but he had to go black and white. See, this is one of the biggest problems in our society right now, is that color is even a thing. It's like he's not even seeing black people as citizens in this moment, because I get that, and I'm not even saying black people is a people, because here's the thing, black is a color, black is a designation. If we're talking about all dark-skinned people, or all peoples of color, that's, my color, darker probably, because I'm not too far from being considered a different shade. So, even Latinos and whatnot, if you're trying to put the color scheme on it, that's what's making it so hard, all right, to take anything he's saying right here in this moment seriously, because it has nothing to do with the skin color. DEI is off of pretty much everything. It's supposed to be including people that are trans, pretty much. So they should be able, it is what it is at this point. So there's the fact check right there. We're gonna keep on.
There are grants that companies can't get.
And law. By the way, if just by the demographics
for you,
we will.
Hold on, let me make that bigger for y'all so y'all can get a stamp of that real quick. Y'all can pause that and read that if that's what y'all want to do.
Look into. I do want to let you finish.
So if you're looking to hire based off of race to increase the diversity of your workforce, that inherently lowers the qualifications needed for that position. That creates a employee base that is less based on merit and more based on skin color, which is not beneficial to any company for anything other than their race quota.
I know let everyone go before again, but I know you got something to contribute.
I possibly. I'm hopeful. So I'm going to approach this from a perspective of somebody who has built and sold multiple 8-figure businesses. Okay. Here's the purpose of business, and I'm not trying to sound condescending, to make money. Okay. Meritocracies make the most money. Having a team based upon merit makes the most successful company. Now, discrimination is absolutely unacceptable. Shouldn't be tolerated. It can exist. There are laws in place to protect people against discrimination. Anybody sports fans in here? Anybody watch the NFL? I watch the NFL quite frequently. You know what there's a lot of running around the field? Black dudes. If there was a DEI policy in the NFL, would the product be diminished if 70% of the NFL was all of a sudden white because of a DEI requirement? The argument would be, yes, it would be diminished, because if the answer would be no, there would be a bunch of white guys running around on the field. Sport.
Check and mate, my friend. You can't hate that logic.
Sports is the last meritocracy in this country. And I think that's why it's attractive to so many people and still so popular. When I was building teams, I interviewed a lot of people. I never went into an interview thinking, I need to hire 3 black people this week. Boy, I hope this woman is qualified because I got to have a woman. Oh boy, man, I hope the white guy is the best. None of it mattered. I wanted to win, and I wanted to create a work environment where other winners wanted to be there. And the people that I experienced in my 27 years in the marketplace didn't care as much as we might think in our society today about what the person in the cubicle next to them looked like, or didn't really care what their religious beliefs were. I could work with the atheist guy. I'm a devout Christian. I'm there to win. And so do I think DEI is productive? I don't. I think, again, it's one of those things on paper that looks really, really good, but merit is how people should be hired. That's what our society should be based upon. And I think that the people you do a disservice to are the really well qualified people that fall into DEI, who never really are sure if they got that job because of DEI or because they're freaking rock stars.
I want to respond to you. What's your name?
Nina.
I actually kind of really liked a point that you were headed, but I'm not sure if maybe we're on the same side or if it went over. But I think you got to a really good point where you had said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you had said there's policies that protect women or protect against women.
Well, like the American with Disabilities Act, and you can't discriminate against women, and which is separate from DEI. Now, it might not be for you, but if you're looking at it from our side, that's what we understand, right?
Sure. And the reason I bring this up is because that can actually apply to DEI. This piece of legislation called the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, where you could not be hired just because they were pregnant, right? Pregnancy, DEI. Some say it's a temporary disability. Disability is included in DEI. So
I disagree there.
And that's fine, but because it is a diverse, I would say, population among the people who may be working in that company, there are certain protections for stuff like that. And
and they're protected under that different act. That's why I say I don't believe it's DEI, because it's protected under, it's a totally separate act. And I'm sorry, I just cannot think of the name of it. To me, there's a difference between DEI and the Americans with Disability Act, and you can't not hire because somebody.
I'm not talking about the ADA.
So so that's it. And so that's the thing. The pregnant woman does not, for me, I don't consider her protected under DEI. I consider her protected under the ADA.
Sure.
Should that happen ever? No. It is wrong. Should anybody ever, should they make that decision? No. Because bottom line for me, there shouldn't be a difference. Mm-hmm. There shouldn't be a difference between you and I, or you and I, or you and I, in an employer's eyes. What's on my resume? What have I accomplished? What have I done? I love DEI in my company. They do a great job. I enjoy working for my company because they do that. But that's where I struggle, right? Where is that line? And it is a struggle for me.
I think that there's some gray area here. So I don't see DEI as I have to hire. And that's why I asked Jace, is that correct? About the whole quota thing, and I want to look into that. Like when I said I like to learn and to grow, I don't ask it to be condescending. I'm like, tell me about that so I can go check myself. Because if 2 people walk in and they're equally qualified and I have an all-white company and they're equally qualified and one looks this way and one looks this way, I probably would want to get to hire the one that looks a little different, whether it be based on sexuality, gender, religion, what have you, just to get some different lived experience in there. DEI also, to me, is not just about the hiring practices, it's about the training aspect when you're an employee. So when I was a teacher, for example, and we learned that American Indians don't necessarily, time is not as big a deal to them, so they might miss more school. Or the Hispanic culture is very more family or oriented by culture, so if mom is sick and they have a restaurant they own that maybe the daughter would go, it's learning about what the people you work with look like and their lived experience. It's training you to open your minds and hearts to that also, not just hiring practice. I think DEI is also training to understand not to agree with, but to understand about that somebody who comes in who is very Christian might look or sound this way, or somebody who is in the queer community might look or sound this way and may use a different pronoun that is completely wild to you, but you don't have to agree with it, but maybe just understand that that's what makes them feel better if I use that. It's just, so I think maybe...
And that might be a misunderstanding that some have.
Yeah.
Not your perception of it, but...
I believe it completely delegitimizes the company structure.
And I disagree with that. But from a DEI right wing, I do think that there is a misunderstanding regarding DEI. What you're saying about DEI is my understanding. That's it. Yeah, let's get different people in here. So I do agree with you. I think that might be where the confusion is. So I did learn something.
I have one question.
Navan, the #1 rated business travel platform, lets your team book work travel in one place.
Do you feel differently about DEI as a hiring practice for Walmart as opposed to a pool of physicians or commercial airline pilots?
I don't see DEI as, I have to look into the quota part of it. I see DEI as an equalized playing field. So I give the example, my brother-in-law worked at a pharmaceutical company that was for women with ovarian cancer. And he was passed up for a promotion. And my sister-in-law's like, oh, because they had to hire the woman. I said, was there any women in leadership and was she qualified? And she said, well, yeah, she was qualified, but he's been there this long. And I said, if there's not a woman at the table in leadership for a drug that is about ovarian cancer, then I think a woman should have been hired. So I think of it as who's at the table and what's the company representing?
Yeah, so DEI, I'll go back 25 years. My dad he's a veteran. He was a veteran and got out of the military, retired, and went to work for the post office and was passed over for promotion and was brought in an office and told by his direct supervisor, I'm very sorry, you should have got this promotion. I had to hire the black woman.
Right. I don't see it like that. And I do believe there are those.
And that was a DEI hire that was going on before DEI was probably the term. But the reason I brought up the doctors and the airline pilots is because I'm not the first person to invent that question, but it's relevant because when I'm traveling, I do a lot of traveling around the country. I want to look in the cockpit and I don't care what they look like. I don't care if the person's gay, if it's a woman, black, well, I don't care. I want to know it's the best freaking pilot that American Airlines can put in that cockpit. I also wouldn't look at a woman and think, oh, she's not I wouldn't think that.
I know, but I say that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Epstein files should be made public. We'll start by having everyone that agrees
exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
the Epstein
files should be made public. This is the question on the table. It's not really a question, it's another statement. So counterpoint is being very suggestive here. Okay, this is very suggestive because it's not much of a question. Should is the question. But we know where Counterpoint stands now. And Counterpoint stands, they should be made. Okay? These are statements, not questions. So do you agree with the statement? Is the question. Alright, so here. We'll do it like this. We'll make it easy. And Epstein files, should they be made public? Sure, why not? There's that. I think that question was answered. Why shouldn't they be made public? I don't think they should not be made public. So it's like whatever. I mean, everybody else's records are public. Especially if this is a matter of national security, I think the public should definitely know, because when these people get tried, they should be tried by their peers. And guess what? They work for us. Okay? A lot of people keep forgetting that. The government works for us. And, you know, here's the thing. Trump hasn't done anything bad. Nothing wrong. Now, everything he's done is within his power to do so, and that should be respected, just like we respected Obama in his office, and we respected Biden in his office. So I think the mutual respect should belong.
Files should be made public. We'll start by having everyone that agrees come up now. Why should the Epstein files be made public?
I just think that these crimes against children are just absolutely abhorrent, and anyone who is involved in that in any capacity needs to be exposed and then prosecuted.
I would like to say pretty much the same thing, pretty much just piggyback off of this. I don't think they should be released just for the sole purpose of trying to see if there is dirt on Donald Trump. I believe that anybody who is on those files should be, like said, prosecuted, whether it's Bill Clinton or not. Whoever went there, they need to be out of here.
I would say ditto, and I believe it was a platform that was also campaigned on. So it was one of the campaign promises that I actually agreed on with Donald Trump. And if I need to eat crow, I will. And like I said, and to me, that's eating crow. Like, I'm not going to just not support him patently. I agreed with him. Like, let's release the Epstein files and prosecute, like you said, whoever is in there to the full capacity.
Okay. What do you say?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I agree, but it's not, from what I've read about it, it's far beyond just harming children. It's basically slaving, slave trafficking. It's a host of crimes far beyond that. Patronage. The crimes list would be extensive, but I don't think there's a one unifying document of who was there and who wasn't. But I think all the information explicitly that can be available that won't destroy any investigation to go and find these people, I think all of those should absolutely be released 100%. I think in a lot of parts, Trump is a little too, I think he's a degenerate in his personal life. I'm not saying anything other than that outside of there. But those are one of the things I definitely agreed on. And I think that I agree absolutely with every single one of you guys here. But I can also understand his point too.
Okay. And how about you?
100%. It's been going on since 2005. And nobody has cared enough about these people to give them justice. So I don't care who's on it. I don't care if Barack Obama's on it. I don't care if President Trump is on it. I don't care. They need to be released. We need to know who these people are, and we need to close this. 2005 is too long for these people to go.
Yeah, going last, everything that I agree with everything everybody said. That might be the only time that happens this evening. So I think this is a good issue. Transparency and accountability are two things that have to be across the board and without party lines. And I also think this has been used as distraction and just, hey, look over here, as a sleight of hand thing from both sides of the aisle for far too long, and it needs to be put to bed.
Okay, and now we'll invite up our one person that disagrees. Okay, so a lot of things out there. One person to go to. Why do you think that they shouldn't be released?
I have faith in the justice system, and I know in this highly scrutinized case, it's been questioned. The documents that contain the list, the so-called list, if there is a complete compilation of all these people, the judge blocked it, and I believe there's a good reason that he did that. I would like to know everybody that did that. But if there's an ongoing investigation, I think that the integrity of the investigation needs to come first.
I agree with that.
I 100% agree. And one thing I actually wanted to say is, after a certain point, I'm actually kind of terrified when it does release, because I feel like it will be scrutinized no matter who or what is on it, no matter what. So it's just, nobody's going to believe it's the real one. It's like, it almost will become like political One Piece, where everyone searches for it, but nobody knows who's the full list.
And the sad thing is this is an exact example of what's been made political. Yeah. There's nothing political about that at all. There's nothing political about children
absolutely
being hurt, about children being violated, about children being abused. There is nothing political about that. But since 2005, no administration has cared. And I mean none, Republican, Democrat, or otherwise. It's been out there since 2005, and nobody has done anything. Let's give these people justice. It's not political. It is absolutely about doing the right thing.
All right, I want to open something up. Is obviously the only thing I can go off of, because you're the only person that was on that side, is that you have faith in the justice system. But at the same time, we're hearing that, this has been going on since 2005, and then there was promises made, not kept. My question is, I guess, first, what gives you that faith in the justice system despite all of the things said?
So I think that if you look at history, a majority of cases have been, the correct verdict has been found. The right people have been put away in a majority of cases. Obviously, you can pick and choose cases where things happen that weren't right. If there is an ongoing investigation into what happened and who was entirely involved, then I believe that those documents should be sealed until they are finalized, able to be released unredacted.
But you do think at that time they should?
Yes.
Like, right now, you don't think they should be
right now
based off of any pending investigation. But once the investigation is done and these people could be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, at that point, you're for releasing them.
Correct.
I agree with you.
Here's something interesting. What do you guys think, maybe on either side politically, why do you guys think that they're not being released?
Because there's too many people on it.
Too many people on it.
Too many just gross people out there.
Too many high-profile, powerful people.
And not just political people. I think we're talking probably people in entertainment.
Well, did we just see something about Prince Andrew or something like?
Didn't
he just relinquish? Yeah. So I mean, I think it's both sides. I don't think it's Trump doesn't want it released because he's on there. He could be on there. I think nobody wants that to come out.
Can I offer a perspective?
Of course.
This is going to sound crazy. I'll just throw that out.
From a conservative?
Correct. I believe that since the inception of bringing Jeffrey Epstein into the island and the fact that he was able to operate with basic impunity for all these years and commit all these horrific things, I believe he was an agent of a foreign government from an intelligence perspective. And I think that he was basically leveraged and said, you're going to use your influence and your connections and you're going to bring these powerful people to this island. We're going to set up cameras, surveillance. We're going to bring these children. We're going to traffic these children here. You're going to bring these powerful people from all walks of government and all walks of entertainment and power in life. And we're going to get them in incredibly compromising situations. And we are going to have extreme leverage over the powers of the entire globe. And that's what has happened. And there are so many people that are so leveraged. I think we're never going to know what happened at that place. I think
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I will say that he was a pawn and he was leveraged. And why cameras everywhere? If you're a sicko and you're going to fly to an island to do these disgusting things, why are there cameras everywhere? Why would you want that taped?
Exactly that. He's sicko and disgusting.
There's cameras and that could be, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. But it's also a possibility that this is one of the most in-depth and wide and broad intelligence leverage operations that any country has ever perpetrated.
The United States should prioritize.
It's not a question. It's a statement. The United States should prioritize domestic needs over foreign aid. Well, I do believe that we should definitely, the way it's stated, foreign aid, yes, we should definitely prioritize domestic needs over foreign aid, like NATO and all these other things. I think those are the things that we need to definitely stay out of so much and focus more into what we're doing. And with this whole Iran thing, they were threatening us. And when you threaten somebody and they got weapons and you got weapons and they know where your homies live and things like that, and they actually made plots on your homies and they've been around your homies' areas, you know what I mean? It gives you a sense of alarm. So it's like, you know what? Especially if your homies are telling you, hey, yo, I see dude over here. You on high alert. And then on top of that, they already threatened you. And not only that, they've been sending people over to your house. What you gonna do?
Prioritize domestic needs over foreign aid. Everyone that agrees, please come up now.
You're one sentence away.
Dang, they hit us with another commercial. It's wild. That's wild, right?
So when it comes to prioritizing domestic needs over foreign aid, what are those domestic needs that you think need to be met before even thinking about foreign aid?
Veteran services is the top on my mind. Absolutely, the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of homeless veterans is an abomination. And I could go on. The amount of money that we had been sending in the prior administration to Ukraine in 1 year could afford to have an armed guard in every public school in the country. That seems to be a good trade-off to me. We don't need, and that's on them, and I'd like to protect our youth. So I think there's plenty of opportunity to focus funds on our nation. I think the fact that teachers make almost no money is disgusting, and we're entrusting them to essentially raise our youth is a problem. And while we're shipping a bunch of money overseas, the fact that we overfunded NATO for decades and decades while Europe sat back and paid next to nothing is also appalling to me. So I think there needs to be some reprioritization and some stewardship of some funds.
I'd like to see America become as safe as it possibly could be before we focus on the safety and well-being of countries overseas. I think that we have a lot of crime in the big cities in America. You don't feel safe walking the streets of Washington, D.C., which should be the cornerstone of America. That should be the place that everyone wants to go and feels welcome. And it's not. You can't walk down the street without feeling like you're going to get mugged. And I think that would be a much better allocation of those funds.
I think that mine's pretty basic. Like, until we have no hungry, homeless veterans, women, children, families on our streets, then our money needs to stay here. That's not heartless. It's not that I don't care about those people. It's just that why are we taking care of others when we can't take care of our own? Like our own here at home. And I think the Bible actually references taking care of your family before providing for others. And I think just getting back to the basic fundamental, this is America, people. Let's take care of Americans. Not to be racist, just to be human.
I completely understand and 100%. Like, I do believe some money should have went to Ukraine just for the imperial project, of course. The maintenance of the American empire is not just if or which or when, basically not just maintaining the stability of home, but basically the trade lanes. Unfortunately, after World War II, America was the only surviving power that really could stand on its feet. So everyone basically leaned on them. And this is where we've been for the past 80 something years, nearly a century now. So the homeless should not be on the streets almost at all. Now there's their own life choices that can come in the matter, but that's besides the point. There shouldn't be millions and millions upon millions of hungry families and schools being underfunded horrifically, while at the same time, I believe one of the biggest reasons that we've entered the state where this conversation needs to be discussed at all is because there's been very little stewardship, and that's the serious problem, because throwing money to Afghanistan to do some social program that won't work is not going to help anyone at home. Ukraine, some of our crappy old equipment sitting mothballed. I don't really care because that destroys one of our rivals that is pestering us. So there just needs to be a balance between the home budget and the imperial budget.
Okay. And what domestic needs do you guys think need to be met before, shipping money anywhere else?
I think there's a lot of them. So I think you all touched on a little bit, not just homeless vets, the unhoused population at large. I mean, there's more that population is growing. There was conversation in Omaha to even put them in jail, but that did not pass. The city council didn't pass it. I think it ties back to mental health, which was also brought up. And I go to therapy. It's $250 a session. I mean, it's a cash pay situation. So I think that we domestically need to take care of mental health and have access to it for everyone. Health care in general, child care. My friends, they have kids in child care, and I thank God I don't have littles right now because it's like $1,700 to $2,000 a month, and that just seems astronomical for a budget. That's a lot of money. So child care. Thank you for mentioning teachers. I am a retired educator, and I don't think we take care of our teachers as well as we need to. And then there's certain oppressed populations that I feel like continue to be oppressed, and I just would love to see more care given to them as well.
I definitely think we shouldn't be sending our money anywhere else. However, the biggest thing that I think we should be doing domestically is definitely just the civil rights aspect for everyone, for the homeless, for children, women, queer people, literally anyone. On top of the money, it's also a social thing.
I think I'm just gonna echo a lot of what has already been said. I think veterans need to be prioritized. My dad was in the Army for 27 years. We are very, very frustrated with the VA right now. Veteran mental health care in general, it's a really big issue. I think that would solve our issues with our veterans. It would solve our homelessness issue. I would like to see some criminal justice reform as well. Prison system is very, very broken, and I think it perpetuates a lot of the issues that we have in America, and that can all
How so? Can you help me understand that? I just want to understand, what do you mean by it's broken?
Sure. So, and maybe I'm just like extra tuned into this because I'm in law school. Since the very, very beginning of our country, it has disproportionately affected people of color. So I think there's harsher sentencing guidelines, but there also comes in my mind that the system, prisons, should be rehabilitative instead of punitive. I think if we took the time and effort and money and care to educate and rehabilitate those incarcerated people, then we would not only solve the crime issue, we would solve the mental health issue, we would spend, the prison issue. It all goes hand in hand.
And when you identify that as punitive versus, like rehabilitative, do you separate violent criminals from those who are arrested and sentenced to 10 years because, I don't know, they did cocaine? Like somebody that killed somebody versus somebody that's doing drugs on the street?
Honestly, and I hate to say this, but I think it's a case-by-case kind of basis, especially for juveniles. I think they are more likely to be successful with some sort of rehabilitation. But even, if we're If we want to separate it, make it punitive, fine. That's a system that we've had forever. I really don't foresee it changing. But at least the access to education or programs in prison to help those people who are incarcerated, because studies have showed that education programs or some sort of training or skill that they develop has reduced recidivism. So it's reduced the amount of people that return to prison. Something that's very overlooked because they're prisoners, they did a bad thing, they're criminals, they don't deserve that care.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. I think that would be money well spent unless that person killed my daughter and now we're going to rehabilitate him and give him a college education and say, take care. See, that's where I'm coming from. So you can see where that's the passion.
No, I get it. That's why I said case by case.
Right. And so that was my question. I was like, I agree with you. For somebody that maybe isn't a violent offender, that money would be allocated absolutely very much there. Yeah.
I got vaccinated.
Statement. This is a wild statement. I feel bad for everybody that had to get, whew, that's a tough one. So bad. Definitely. Yeah. Sorry.
During COVID, everyone that got vaccinated, please come up now.
Wild. That's how they got us, man.
All right. Well, since you're the only one over there, I'll start just why did you get vaccinated?
So I hate myself for it. Long story short.
Boom. Wow. The regret. He hates himself for it. That's why I said I feel bad for everybody that had to do it. And, yeah, my condolences. I hope that you guys are okay.
I wish I could go back in time and not have taken that shot. I'm not going to place blame. I made the decision and I gave in to fear. I gave in to propaganda. I gave in to relationship pressure from a marriage that I was in and made a decision that I would not make today. And when I saw this question as a possible, I was like, you know what? I almost don't even want to put my hand up or go sit down and admit that I did that. I am very much pro if someone chooses to have any vaccine, that they should have that opportunity to do that. I'm also very much against anything that has anywhere close to the word mandate in it at all. And I've not had health ramifications from taking that shot. I ended up getting COVID, and you know what? It was no factor. It was 5 days of suck, and it was not that big a deal, and I went on with my life. But I never again will I give into that kind of lie and propaganda from that machine. Never.
Okay. And well, why did you get vaccinated?
Mainly because I had to. I was taking my senior year of high school. I had a trip that was over state lines, and it was like kind of right when the pandemic was ending, when the lockdown like barely got lifted. So I just had to get vaccinated for it. The one thing I will say though, to kind of counteract what he said, is vaccines are not, it's not a guarantee that you're not going to get it. It's just a block for you to have a lower chance of getting it. It's not 100% guaranteed. I also still got COVID before and after I was vaccinated both times because I got both shots. And that's just the way it is. People still get the flu when they have the flu shot. So.
Okay. And if you didn't go on that trip, would you have still gotten vaccinated?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, I did get vaccinated, but a lot of my bubble friends or circle friends, Titus friends, are in medical, and I trust anything that they say. I just feel very confident that they wouldn't steer me wrong. So they said they were going to do it. I trust the provider that I have. They said to do it, but I am pro-choice. So pro-choice across the board. So if somebody chose not to, that was fine too. at our house. I do know that we also kind of bubbled in there, and if people weren't vaccinated, we did kind of keep a distance from them. I didn't, if other people wanted to gather and do their thing, I was good with it. We just kind of just did our own thing.
Yeah, your own choice, and others can have their choice. Okay. And how about you?
I did get vaccinated, and I say that as someone whose biggest fear is needles. I pass out with shots. I passed out with the COVID vaccine, actually. I did it more for like public health purposes, I think, and maybe not even public health. My dad was going through chemo at that time, and because he had cancer, he was very sensitive, very immunocompromised. So had he gotten COVID at that time, it likely would have been a lot worse for him, especially because of his chemo treatments and his radiation treatments. So I did it out of love for my dad. My whole family got vaccinated. My sister's has asthma, so she was also immunocompromised. But I also just believe that, I mean, if not for yourself, then for those around you. Like I said, hate needles, hate shots, cannot do them. But I wanted to protect those around me. And I also believe in science. So if we had, multiple doctors, multiple scientists saying, hey, do this thing, this will help you and others, then okay,
Okay, and I have a feeling that that is the perfect time to bring in everyone that didn't get vaccinated.
At the time, it was such a new thing, and it kind of made me question and made my whole family question, what do we know about the effects of this long term? We couldn't know what happens to you if you take that shot 5 years down the road because it hadn't been around that long. It was such a new developing thing that it was almost like you don't want to be a guinea pig to this experiment. And that's the way that I saw it.
100%, I agree with him. Plus, there wasn't a 15-year-long study like there wasn't a human test, not a 15-year-long one for people.
There was emergency.
I understand that, but there's a certain point where it's like you don't want to mess around with something and it ends up, let's just say, causing ovarian cancer, and we don't know until 15 years later. And there's ovarian cancer for women. And not saying that's what happens with COVID, but that's just a risk. And with every and second to that, because I didn't want to get because I felt like people were trying to force me to, so I was like, no. So I was also being just, I guess, I don't want to. That's all.
So for context, I work in pharmaceuticals. So I have spent an incredible amount of time learning about the difference between immunization and a vaccination. So first off, an immunization will eradicate the disease, right? So you can't get it. Polio, I think shingles is considered an immunization because it's 99%, whatever. You're getting a vaccination, which doesn't prevent you from getting it, right? So I did not get vaccinated because it doesn't stop me from getting it.
If it did, would you have?
If absolutely, if it was like a polio, yes, I would.
Okay.
But the thing is, it didn't stop me. It doesn't stop you from getting it. It just makes your symptoms easier. So my thought process was, I have a husband that's type 2 diabetic. I have a son that has Crohn's disease, and I have 2 granddaughters that live with me 50% of the time, and I have an elderly mother that was living with me. If I have COVID, I want to know I have COVID, right? I don't want you taking away my symptoms, right? Because that vaccine doesn't stop me from getting it and spreading it. It only makes my symptoms easier. So I chose to not get it because before anybody attacks me, it wasn't FDA approved. Difference, FDA approved for emergency use and FDA approved. So I think that media didn't do anybody any favors by saying, this is FDA approved for emergency use. You're right, it is, but it hasn't been through the studies to say, am I going to lose my hair 20 years from now? Am I going to lose my ovaries 20 years from now? I also find when you're talking about science, our scientists are so amazing that they can come up with a vaccine that is going to lessen the symptoms of COVID in literally, 8 months' time? And we can't cure cancer? and we can't stop the flu. And I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. I'm not saying COVID is not a real thing. It is. I have known people that have lost their lives to COVID. But my thought on why did I not get vaccinated, I want to know if I'm giving it to my granddaughter. I want to know if I'm giving it to my mom. I want to know if I'm giving it to my immunosuppressed son. By suppressing my symptoms, I have no idea if I have it or not.
I'm wondering, did anybody here pressure anyone to get vaccinated? Because I'm moving towards a choice question.
I was pressured, but I didn't pressure.
Okay, were you were pressured, you said?
So I
know you're a fan of personal choice, like it was yours at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take ownership and responsibility. No one had a gun to my head, so I own that I made the decision to do it.
Okay, so my question
I did a little, I had minor children, so we did have them vaccinated, and it wasn't a choice that they made. Once they were over minors and there were like boosters or whatever, that was a choice that they made.
And to be clear, I'm not against it. I absolutely am not. It's your choice if you want to be vaccinated or not. Absolutely. Right. And if you tell me I want to get the COVID vaccine, I'm going to put you in my car. I'm going to take you to the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Question, does anybody think you shouldn't have the choice and you should have had to have taken the vaccine? All right. Just wondering, that was going to be a storm.
I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed. And you got, no.
Well, like Steph said, if you're going to be pro-choice for one thing, you got to be it across the board.
Yeah.
So
I personally, like, I don't agree with that because you can, I mean, I've always, out of everyone here, they kind of agree that I'm the crazy one. But even then, I completely respect the fact that you're absolutely across, because you're very principled about it. Yeah, I agree with that because, I mean, yeah, I don't want to take something that only an emergency got an FDA approval and haven't gotten a 15-year loan.
And I think thinking about it now, and most people don't have insight to what I know, the FDA has now said it's recommended for those over the age of 65 and those with the comorbidity, right? Why? Why are you changing the rules? Why is it, there's no shortage. Like, the manufacturers are still making it. Why, FDA, are you just now coming out and saying, only those over the age of 65 and those with a comorbid condition are eligible for the ACA COVID vaccine?
And there's also been studies.
I don't like that, to be honest, because I would like to get it again.
Well, you can. You just have to pay for it.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of Counterpoint. If you enjoyed it, make sure to let us know by hitting the like button and subscribing to catch all the new episodes. If you would like to be on Counterpoint, our casting form is in the description. Make sure to comment down below which topic we should cover next. You have work, people doing jobs, thank you, make the world go round, people doing overtime, heck yeah, you guys are doing the work nobody wants to do. Good times, you know. All right, but still, you know, shout out to everybody out there in the panelverse and everybody that didn't want to come through and debate, you know, come through and debate next time, all right? And we out of here. It's time for me to shut the fuck up.
Get ready.
My little homegirl put me on. She said, this shit brand new, free flow. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art. Huh? You forgot about that part. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art. Huh? you forgot about that part. Lately rappers been spitting like they ain't got a heart. Because when I step to the game, I rip that shit apart. My evolution with the Gyarados from Magic Carp, and I ain't finished shopping till the whole world is in my cart.
When you want to change,
get choose a role and play your part.
if you do not want to better yourself, if you do not want to break out outside of this matrix,
hard only if they
if you want to live in your comfortable delusion
I'm trying
that they
as
have
hard
built
as I can
for
against all
you,
of the odds. Pushing as hard as I could is what got me so far.
do not
But what are my chances of
watch
actually
these
reaching the
videos.
stars?
Leave
Still,
this
I
channel.
will never get up tatted over my heart. Never my
If
songs
you
is hiding in my
do
weed
not
up in the jar.
want any
Sexy
truth,
Middle Eastern looking
don't
ass
want to
like I'm
understand.
far.
If you are
When it
not
comes
here
to the game,
to
I'm an eagle, you're par. Please don't
hear
get to slipping.
something
I'ma
that's
catch you off
outside of your
guard
own
while you
mind
chilling in the crib,
and
got
accept
your chick in my
others'
car.
minds
Every
and
time you hear it
opinions, the
tripping
way
like
they
that
think
shit
for
sounds
themselves
bizarre.
who do not
Your
belong
favorite
here.
rapper try hard, still is a mark.
And finally,
Still like the
if
fuel
you
to
are
the
not
game, watch
trying
it
to
spark. My lines burn
positive,
like blunts,
if
getting
you are not
smoke in
trying
the
to
dark.
help
Hella cooking
create
shit up.
solutions
If your
while we
ass wanna
discuss the
spar,
problems and how
barbecue
they
your
got here,
beef up like the seats in my
you do
car.
not
Cool
belong
yourself
here.
up,
Negativity,
refrigerator, jar.
hate,
Rappers, they not rappers,
disrespect,
they not
name calling, those things will not be allowed here on this platform and not in this empire. We are the ones, the true Americans that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.
My little